तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 9th chapter, beginning from verse number 31. After Brahma prayed to the Lord that he should bless him to give him the knowledge about creation and also bless him that he does not become proud while performing the act of creation. And Lord spoke to him and he said that by his blessing he will get the most secret knowledge along with its realization about Lord's form, and also the confidential essence of the scriptures in the form of prema bhakti and the process to achieve it, the sadhana bhakti. So these four things he promised to the Lord, to Brahma, that he will give these four things to him. And now in this verse he further continues. And this verse from this one and the next three, these are the four essential verses which are called Chatusloki Bhagavatam. And in this he is going to give the complete knowledge what he has promised in the previous words. So Lord said, Yavanaham yatha bhavo yadrupa guna karmakaha tathaiva tattva vijnanam mastu te madanugrahat. He said, as I am and as is my nature, my form, my qualities and my activities, you may have that knowledge in essence by my grace. So he told that, Lord, the way he is, what is his essential characteristic, and various forms, various qualities, activities, and the essence of all these things Brahma can have by Lord's grace. This is the first verse. And Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he comments on this. Says, Kincha Jnanam Shabda Dwara Yathartha Nirdharanam Paroksham. Says, when we have knowledge by Shabda, by hearing through the sound, that knowledge is not direct knowledge. It is only indirect knowledge. When you see some object, you see it directly. But if you hear about it, then you really are not experiencing that object. You are only hearing about it. And therefore that is called paroksha or indirect knowledge. Tacha kinchit Suddha Chittanam Astikanam Sambhaved Api. And this indirect knowledge is also not always possible for everybody. That is also possible when people have pure heart. Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita that there are three types of knowledge. Knowledge in Sattva, knowledge in Rajas, and knowledge in Tamas. So in Sattva one can understand the reality, and in Rajas you understand with various options, and in Tamas you understand opposite of what it is. So the real understanding also comes when you can open the door. When the mind or the heart is pure. We hear about various topics, but it is not that we always understand them. If our minds are clean, which basically means that mind is not disturbed by too many other desires or samskaras from the past, then we can understand the object as it is. If our mind is disturbed, then you may hear, but you will not grasp what is being said. So, therefore, two types of knowledges are described in philosophy. There is prama and aprama. Tadvati tat prakarakam jnanam prama. To know the object along with its characteristics as they are, that is called proper knowledge. And to know an object when it is not the way you understand, and that is improper knowledge. So prama is possible when the mind is peaceful. So even the knowledge which is indirect, which we get by hearing, that is not always possible if our mind is disturbed. And impurity basically is because of the various desires. They agitate the mind. So he says, if one hears about the Lord from the Shastra, about his qualities, his form, his activities, then this indirect knowledge is possible for those who have clean heart and they are faithful, astika. But even they are not going to have realization of it. Vijnanam tu aparoksh anubhava matsarupasena yathartyena sakshatkara sacha rahasya tadang shabdoktabhyam matprayat bhakti sadhan bhaktibhyam vina nair bhavati. It says the experience of my form as it is, and what I have spoken, the secret which is love of Krishna, and the anga, the limb, which is the sadhana bhakti, He says they are not possible without devotion. Without bhakti, we cannot understand even if Krishna is being described in the scriptures, and we may hear again and again. But it is not possible without devotion. So devotion is like the password through which we can access the file about Krishna, his form, his qualities, his activities. And for that, therefore, he is giving the blessing. Tad dharma ashisham dadati yavan yat pramanaka. So that means without Krishna's grace, we cannot understand him. And if we hear or read, no matter how many times, Yadrishya sthalya karshya darghya tunga ta vrutta ta aghachitya sanniveshta avyava ityartha. So he says, the first thing he says that understanding, what does it mean, understanding about the Lord's form? So he says how he is, whether he is fat or thin, is he tall or small, is he wide, and how the various parts are existing in his body, this understanding. So this is the meaning of, says Yavanaham, as I am. His size, Yatha Bhavo Yadrish Abhipraya. And Yatha Bhav, what is the mind of the Lord? Because he is also a person, and he also has mind, he has his temperament, his intentions, his motives. So how to understand them? Yani Rupani, and he has various types of forms, such as Shamattu, Chaturbhujattu, Dvibhujattu, Krishnattu, Ramattu, Narsimhattu, Adi. He is blackish in color, he has 4 hands, 2 hands. He has forms like Krishna, Rama, Narsimha. So this is the meaning of Yatharup, as is my form. And Guna Bhakta Vatsalyadhya, then his qualities such as his love and his devotees. Then Karmani means the activities he performs. Lakshmi Parigraha Govardhanudharanadini, such as accepting Lakshmi as his wife or lifting Govardhan. So all these activities, they also have to be understood. Because how is that somebody can lift Govardhan hill? Because to lift something, you have to go under it. And to go under it, first you have to lift it. So which was done first? Did he lift it first, or he go under it first? So how did he lift? Because it's not an object that you hold it from the top and you can lift it. Or you can move it from the sides. He lifted the whole hill, which is stuck to the ground. Govardhan is not kept like an object. It's part of the earth. These stones are inside. So how did he lift it? There is no earth moving equipment at that time, but he brought it and he just lifted it.
Maybe there was a cave under it.
Where is the cave? And even if you go the cave, how you are going to lift the whole thing? The cave is also stuck. And then even if you lift it, why the things are not falling down? They are not cemented. Thing can fall down. It was raining very heavily. He said that it was raining like the shower was like the trunk of an elephant, that thick. So such a heavy rain is coming, even the roof can collapse. Many times houses collapse when there is heavy rain. When the houses are built to stand the rain. So why that government did not collapse when he lifted it? So this is the meaning of to understand how he acts. Because he lifting it from one corner, and then the whole thing was there. He was underneath. He was under it himself. So how did he go there without lifting? Or he lifted from the side, and then he was going slowly under, and he was moving the other part. What was the process? And how he came out of it when he put it down? And then once you lift it, there is going to be a ditch there, and all the water will come. So why they did not drown in that? Because it said that all the cows in Brajvasis, they took shelter under it. So if you lift the mountain, it have to be uprooted. Then it will make a big hole, and all the water will flow there, because water has the nature of going to the low level. So then everybody will still be inside the water. It seems they were very comfortable there, without any problem. It was neither too hot nor too cold. Outside it is described that they were shivering, because there was a heavy wind. First hailstorms were coming and wind, and everybody was feeling cold, because it was not the cold season yet. It was just like 2 days back. That was the time he lifted Govardhan hill. So therefore he says that to understand this Tathaivati, he says, you, by my blessing, you will know exactly the way I look, the qualities I have, and the way I act. You will know the whole process. Yena prakarena mama parimana abhipraya rupa guna karmanir avirbhavanti tena tenaiva prakarena tattva vijnanam tesham yatharthya anubhavo astu. He says, as is my size, whether I am big or small, and what is my intention, what do I want to attain, because everybody has some purpose in their life. We all have some goals which we are trying to achieve, and for that we perform activities. We don't act without some motive behind it. Even if it is a spiritual motive, we are having some motive. So why is Krishna acting? What is his intention? Because we say that he is perfect, and he himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Navaptam avaptavyam, there is nothing which I have to achieve which is achievable. So why is he acting then? You never find anybody in this world who is acting without any purpose. Even a foolish person does not act without a purpose. Something is there. So why is Krishna acting? What is his abhipraya? And what type of color he has? His form, rupa means color. Is he black, is he white, or is he colored? So what is he? And qualities and activities. He says all this you will know exactly the way they are. Tena tenaiva prakarena tattvijnanam. Tattvijnanam means the realization of the very essence, not just theoretical knowledge, but you will realize it. Tesham yatharthya anubhavostu. You will have the real experience of all this by his grace. Tatra ashirvadenaiva anugrahe vyanjite api punar mada anugraha padopadanam parama antaranga mata kripa shakti vritti vishesha sadhana bhakti prem bhaktiyor वृद्धिर तारतम्य नैव मदरूप गुणादि माधुर्य अनुभव तारतम्ये समुपस्य माने अपि एतस्मादपि मत्स्वरूप आदि माधुर्यं परम दुर्लभं कृष्ण स्वरूपं मां ब्रजभूमिं त्वं साक्षात् अनुभविष्यसि इति सूचयति. So now he makes one question, that he said that may you have the knowledge of my form, qualities, activities, about myself. So why he said by my grace, Madanugrahat? because if we said that may you have, that itself signifies that you may have this. Then what is the need to say that by my anugraha, by my grace you have this? So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, because in Shastra whenever words are used, they have some significance, they are not used unnecessarily. This is one of the characteristics of Shastra, that no unnecessary words are used, and if something is looking unnecessary, that means it has some more significance. So he says that the significance of using this, again, this word anugraha, by my grace, he says that the knowledge about my form, my qualities, my sweetness, it comes by the power of my internal potency. And one knows me in accordance with the prema one has. Prema. Because everybody does not know the Supreme Lord in the same way. Different devotees have different realizations about him. Some know about his Aishwarya, some know about his Madhurya, and different levels of Madhurya and Aishwarya are there, and various types of forms and pastimes. So he says, this Prem Bhakti or Vriddhi Tartamya, that according to the gradation of one's devotion, one understands the qualities, form, etc. of the Lord. But the form which is called Krishna, which is most rare and which is the most sweet form of the Lord, that is not easily available to people. And for that, special mercy is needed. Extra dose of mercy is necessary for that. So by saying this Mad Anugraha, he is indicating that I am giving you that special mercy that you know me, Krishna, in Vraj. So that is the significance. Krishna Swarupam Mam Braj Bhumim Tvam Sakshad Anubhavishyasi, that in future you will experience my pastimes in Vraj directly. So this is the implied meaning of the word by my grace. Etena chatuhu shlokya nirvishes swarup matra paratvena anvyakhyanam swayameva parasta. And by this verse, the explanation of the 4 verses, Chatusloki Bhagavatam, on impersonal Brahman has been defeated. Because they are also impersonalists and they also explain Bhagavatam, they have also written commentaries on Bhagavatam. And they try to explain this Chatusloki that it is about Brahman. So he says that that is already defeated because he is talking about qualities, form, color, activities, intention, and all these things don't exist in Brahman. So therefore any explanation which is related with Brahman only of these verses is imperfect or incomplete. Then in the next verse he says, Ahameva samevagre nanyadyat sadasatparam paschadaham yadetacha yom shishyeta swasmiham. He says, Aham eva asam eva agre. Says in the beginning, I alone existed and existed only. Nanyad yat sadasatparam. There was nothing, no cause, no effect, or subtle or gross. None of this existed. And after this creation is highlighted, Paschadaham yadetacha, what will be remaining, that will also be me. So he is in the beginning, he is in the end. That means in the middle also it is only he. because nothing can be created, nothing new can be created or destroyed. If he was in the beginning and he will be in the end, and in the middle also it is he only. Nothing else can exist. And he here means his personal form, not just impersonal Brahman. Usually this is applied on Brahman. Brahman only exists, and from Brahman comes this creation. But if you see all the verses together, especially the question of Brahma, because Brahma had very clearly asked that I want to know about Paravare Yatha Rupe Janiyam Tetva Rupina, that I would like to know your material form and your transcendental form. So it's one of his questions. And he specifically said transcendental form. So that means it is not that God or absolute reality has no form. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says that evam shlokabhyam deyatvena jnanadikam pratishrutya tat praptahu आशीषा एव योग्यताम आपाद्य च प्रथमं ज्ञानम उपदिशन एव परावरे यथा रूपे जानीयामिति प्रश्नस्य उत्तरम. So he says that in last two verses he has promised to Brahma that you will have knowledge, you will have realization, you will have bhakti. All this he has promised in the two verses, and therefore now he begins. And by this promise he has also made him qualified by his blessing. Because if he is not qualified, then it is not possible that Brahma will have the knowledge. If somebody wants to give you something, then you also have to have the proper instrument or pot or utensil to hold that object. So there is a saying that the milk of a lion or lioness can be held only in a golden pot. If you keep that milk in any other pot, it will break, it will split. Like sometimes you put lemon in the milk and it splits. So like that, if the milk from a lioness is not kept in a golden pot, then it will split. It will become spoiled. So patra is necessary. So in Shastra there is a lot of talk about patra or qualification. There are so many things talked in the Shastra, everything is not for everybody. There is talk about Karma Yoga, there is a talk about Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga, and mixed devotion. So for everything there is a qualification needed. There is Vaidhi Bhakti, and in Uttama Bhakti there are two divisions, Vaidhi and Raganuga. And there is specific qualification for that. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami has defined the qualification. Everybody has the right, that is one thing. There is no restriction that one cannot become a devotee. There are two things, to have right and to have qualification. So when it comes to Karma Yoga, then everybody does not have the right to perform Karma Yoga. So only you have to be born in Varnashram to participate in Karma Yoga. So one does not have the right to begin with if one is not born in Varnashram. But in case of Bhakti Yoga, everybody has right to perform it. So Rupa Goswami says, Nrimatrasya adhikar, that everybody who has got a human body, who has got 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, they have the right to perform bhakti. But still you need some qualification. So he says that qualification is Shraddha. Because if one does not have Shraddha, one may be a human being, doesn't have the qualification for bhakti. So similarly, he has given him the qualification to attain this knowledge. One wants to attain knowledge, some qualification is needed. You want to become a doctor, engineer, manager, so you go to college to study. So you have the right to be admitted in the college, but you must be qualified to be admitted. It's not that everybody gets admission in every discipline. They also put certain restrictions, and only if you qualify, then you can be admitted. And why the restrictions are put? Because that particular knowledge cannot be understood or comprehended by everyone if one does not have that caliber. So similarly, Lord is giving blessing to attain knowledge and realization about himself. So for that, the qualification also must be there. So therefore he says that by his blessing, he has already given him the qualification. Ashishayeva yogitam apadya. And then he is giving him knowledge. Prathamam jnanam updesanneva. While instructing him in knowledge, because he says jnanam param guhyam savijnanam, that you get knowledge and along with realization. So now he is talking about the knowledge part. So while giving the knowledge, he is answering his question, which he has said that paravare yatha rupe janiyam teturu arupena. Let me know about your form. So he says, ahameva agre shrishte purvam asamiti tarjanyaha swavakshaha sprishati. So he says that in the beginning, before the creation, I existed. And Vishwanath Chakravarti says that when Lord was saying that I existed before creation, then he was pointing his finger towards himself and touching his chest like this. This was the meaning of Ahameva. So he says, look at me. I exist. That means no Brahman. Forget about Brahman. This I, which is standing in front of him and which he is showing, like he saw somebody. So this is called index finger. Like in the book you have index. So index is for searching, right? So this is called index finger. In Sanskrit it is called tarjani. It has another meaning, that if you want to chastise somebody, you also do like that. So tarjani means which is used for giving hell to somebody. And in English we call it index because it is for pointing. So he is pointing towards himself, touching his chest, and he says this I was existing. Sprishati eva karena anya yoga vyavachedakena mad vijatiyam prakritam vastu kimapi na asiditi labhyate. And then he says aham eva asam. This word eva in Sanskrit means only. I only was. So only has different meaning in Sanskrit. One is called, he is calling here as Anya Yoga Vyavached. One meaning of Eva is that there is no possibility of somebody else. And another meaning is that there is no possibility of this not being there. So two meanings of Eva. One is he says Aham Asam Eva, that I alone was there. That is one meaning. Alone. Eva only means alone. I alone was there. Means there was no one else. And second meaning is that don't think that I was not there. There is no possibility of his not being there, and there is no possibility of somebody else being with him. This is the meaning of I alone. I am awesome. So what does it mean that he was alone? Because really speaking he is never alone. So what it means that this other which is the external potency, did not exist at that time. It was not manifest. Mad Vijatiyam. There is three types of differences. There is difference between one object and another object, and there is difference between one class and another class, and then there is difference within oneself. So this table is different from the book. This is called Sajatiya Bhed, Vijatiya Bhed. These two are belonging to different classes. The book belongs to the book class, table belongs to the table class. They are completely different. And then we have this book and this book. So this book is different from this book. This is Sajatiya Bhed. They both belong to the same category, the category of book, but one is different from the other. And then within the book there are Swajatiya Bhed. That one page is different from the other page. If I take out this page from here, it does have no bearing on this page. It's not that this page also becomes small or increases or something gets lost from this page. So these are two independent. So in Lord, there is no difference, Sajatiya, Vijatiya or anything like this. He has his own body and every part is known different from him, cannot be separated. He has various forms, means all Vishnu Tattvas belonging to the same jati, same category, same class, they are known different. And then he has Vijatiya, living beings, material nature. It is also non-different from him because it belongs to him, it is his energy, and energy and energetic are one. So therefore he says that I existed, nothing else. So here specifically he is talking about Prakriti, the material nature, which does not belong to the category of the Lord. Madhvijatiyam prakritam vastu kimapi nasit. There was no material object existing at the time. That's why it is called the pralaya, or the period of annihilation. Ayam artha, he says the meaning is this. Samprati bhavantam prati pradurbhavan asau param manoharakaro rupa guna madhuri mahodadir ahameva agre mahapralaya kale api asameva. He says the sense is this, says now the way I am standing before you, I am manifest in this very enchanting form, the reservoir of all beauty, qualities, sweetness. I existed like this even during Mahapralaya, means the complete annihilation period. As it is said, then he quotes different statements from the Shruti, because people think, the impersonalists, they think that when annihilation occurs, then Krishna, Ram, Nrsimha, they are also finished. Only Brahman remains, because they think that they are also material manifestation and Satyanarayana. So that's why he is making this type of comments, that he is touching his chest and showing this was existing, so that you don't misunderstand that Brahman was existing and not the form of the Lord. And for that reason he is now quoting statements from the Upanishads which specifically talk that Lord personal form was existing. So he quotes this Vasudeva Vaidam Agre Asin na Brahma na cha Sankara. In the beginning there was Lord Vasudeva Krishna, no Brahma, no Shankara. Atmaya Vedamagre Asit Purushvida iti. In the beginning, this Atma, or the consciousness of the soul, existed in the form of a Purusha, Purushavida, not impersonal. Purusho Havai Narayana iti, and the Purusha is Narayana. Eko Havai Narayana Asit, In the beginning there was Lord Narayana. Purushomave Narayano Akamaya, and this Purusha Narayana he desired. At Narayana Dajo Ajayata Yata Sarvani Bhutani Narayana Param Brahma Tattvam Narayana Param Vritam Satyam Param Brahma Purusham Krishna Pinglam iti Eko Narayana Asid Na Brahma Na Ishana Ityadi Shruti. So from Narayana came Brahma, came the various elements. Narayana is the supreme reality, he is the supreme absolute truth, and there is nothing beyond him. He is Param Brahma, he is the Purusha, he is Krishna Pingala. And then another statement that in the beginning there was only Narayana, there is no Brahma, no Shiva, etc. So there are so many statements from the Shruti, the Upanishads. Bhagavan ek ashid ityadi smritesya. Then he quotes also refers to the Smriti where it says that in the beginning there was Bhagavan, the Supreme Person. Now the question comes that if he was alone, then what happened to the other associates? Everybody disappears and so he says atra vakuntha tat parshadadinam api tad upangatvad aham padeneva grahanam raja asau prayati. Says when he says that he existed, it implies along with his associates. All these parshadas, the devotees, they are also existing because they are like his upangas, limbs. As in Bhagavatam says, Sangopangastra Parshadai. That Lord Chaitanya with his Anga Upanga. So he gives one example. He says when in the olden times, especially when the commentary was written, then in India there were kings. And sometimes kings used to go for their yatra. Like we have Lord Jagannath with yatra, Lord comes out. The kings also used to go out like this and people will come to see them. Then somebody will say, oh, the king is going. Now when king is going, he is not going alone. He has his associates, his servants, ministers, and whole entourage which goes along with him. Or if Prime Minister of another country has to come to this country, then you say the Prime Minister is coming. So Prime Minister or President does not come alone. He comes with many other assistants. So in the same way when Lord says that he alone was existing, means with his associates he was there. Atas tesham cha tadvadeva sthitir bodhyate. And therefore as Lord is eternal, he exists during annihilation, then the associates also exists in the same manner. Because they have the same characteristics, qualities like the Lord. Tathacha Raja Prashna. And then he quotes that if there is a question raised by king in the previous chapter, 2:10, Sachapi yatra purusho visvastiti vidbhavapyaha muktvatmaya maesha shete sarvabhase. He says, please also explain to me about that place where Lord sleeps after giving up his creation. So that means there is a place and he is sleeping and there must be some other people. There is also a question raised by Vidura which will come later on in the third canto. He says, Tattvanam bhagavanstesham katitha pratisankramaha tatrimam kalpasiram kal usvidanusherate. So he says that please explain to me about the tattvas and how they are created and destroyed. And also tell me when this annihilation occurs, then who is worshipping the Lord and who is sleeping. So that means even in annihilation period there are devotees. Sri Swami Charananam Vyakhyacha. And Srila Swami has also explained it in the following manner. Tatra pralaye imam parmeshwaram shayanam rajanam iva chamar grahine ke upasiran Kevanuserte Shayanam Anupsopanti Tyesha. Says that when there is pralaya, dissolution, then Lord is sleeping like an emperor So who are the people who are worshipping him by taking chamara in their hand? It's like when you do arti and you take chamara. So kings also had this system because deity is treated like a king. So whenever the king were sitting on their throne, and there were always two people moving the chamaras all the time. This is a royal insignia. There are also princes, but they don't have chamar. Only when they are enthroned, then they get this facility. So he is saying that who is holding the chamar at that time and who is sleeping. So sleeping means that the living entities of this material creation, they are not destroyed. So they are like in sleep state, but the associates in the spiritual world, they are still serving him. That is the explanation. Kashi Khande api uktam, and in the Kashi Khanda of Skanda Purana also it is said, Na chuvante api yad bhakta mahatyam pralayapadi atyo achyuto akhile loke saeka sarvigo agya. The devotees of the Lord, they never fall down from Vaikuntha, even during pralaya. Therefore Lord is called Achyuta. He is one, he is all pervading and imperishable. Asameva iti ayoga vyavacheda. So now he giving the meaning of eva. He gave one meaning, that the other does not exist, and now he gives the second meaning. Ayoga vyavacheda means that there is no possibility that Lord does not exist. Astehe satvarthakatvat tadani mad vidmanyataya abhave sarvtha navut. Says that there is no possibility of his non-existence at that time. Because if you say that I live in my house, so it means that nobody else is living with you. But does it also mean that you are always living? Sometimes you also go out. So he has used eva twice for this reason. Aham eva, asam eva. That not only that I alone, but I always am. So twice the word eva has been used. So to remove this doubt, don't think that he was before annihilation. And maybe sometimes he is not there. Before, because annihilation, creation is going on. So before some annihilation, he is there, but sometimes he is not there. Sometimes there is only Big Bang and the creation happens. And sometimes Lord is doing it. Both are possible. So he says no. This is Ayoga Vyavacheda, this Eva is there, Asam Eva. Because Asam comes from the root Asi Bhuvi, which means to exist, Satta, existence. It was never that he did not exist, as it says in Bhagavad Gita. Ahameva asameva na kim api akarvam iti kriyantar vyavrittistu vastuto na ghatte astehe sarv dhatu arthesu anushvitatvat. Now, another question can be raised that Lord says that he was there and he was definitely there, and says I existed basically. Asam ahameva asamve means I alone existed. So it also means that he was existing and he was not doing anything. He was just there. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that don't think that he was just there, because being is included in all the roots. Every root, every verb has the verb to be in it as part of it. Because whatever you want to do, you have to be. Without being, you cannot do. Whether you want to eat, you want to sleep, you want to stand, walk, jump, laugh, you have to be. So therefore he has used this word, being. And that implies everything else. So he says that don't think that he was just being there, but he was performing his activities. पूर्वस्मिन् वर्षे तत्र ग्रामे चैत्र आसीद एव इत्युक्ते चैत्रस्य शयन आसन भोजनादि क्रिया नैव व्यावर्तन्ते किन्तु भावयति. He says, suppose you say that last year you were in Vrindavan, right? So now when you say that last year you were in Vrindavan, it does not mean that you are in Vrindavan but you are starving, you did not eat, you did not sleep, you did not walk, you were just were. It says because you were, then it also means you did so many other things. किंतु उक्ति परिपाट्या घटते च. So he says, just when we say that last year I was in Vrindavan, means I also did many things when I was there. So in the same way when Lord says that I was before creation, it does not mean that he was just quiet, doing nothing. He was normal, acting. Yatha sandarbhe, and he is quoting Kram Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami. Says, Asam eva iti brahmadi bahirjana jnana gochara srishti adi lakshana kriya antarasya vyavrittir natu svantarang lilayapi. Jiva Goswami, while commenting on this verse, says that what it means that I was there means that the activities which are perceived to people like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra and other human beings which are part of this material creation, they were not there. But his Antaranga Leela, the activities which he performs in his own abode, they were going on. This is the meaning. यथा अधुनासौ राजा न किंचिदपि करोति इति युक्ते राज संबंधी कार्यमेव निषिध्यते न तु शयन भोजनादिकमपि तद्वति. Jiva Goswami has given one example that the kings also used to hold their court. It's not that they were just having fun. And then they also go to their inner quarters, and if somebody comes then they say, well, the king is not doing anything now because he is not in the office. Or like some president of a company or manager, he comes, he is in the office, he is working, and then he takes off, he goes home, he says, well, he is not working. Today he is not working. So now does it mean that he is not doing anything? It only means that he is not doing his official work. But he is in his house, he is eating, or he is talking with his wife or children or watching TV, he is doing something there. Means he is not doing the regular work. So similarly this material creation is like the office for the Lord. So sometimes he comes to the office and stopped. It is running on battery. So this material creation is like the office, and Vaikuntha is his house. So he comes to office. That's why when he comes to office he is nicely dressed. He has got the chakra. Like some police officer goes to his office, he has got all these badges, so everybody salutes him, everybody knows. Right, sir? But when he goes home, he is putting on his lungi, he is relaxed. So similarly when he comes here, he has got big helmet, and he has got a club, and he has got chakra in his hand and all this, sometimes 4 hands, sometimes 12 hands, 10 hands. When he goes home, he is just playing flute, has no shirt even, one dhoti, running around. That's his house. So that's what he does when the office time is over. He plays. So that is the meaning, that I am there, and doesn't mean I am not doing anything, but I am with my associates. Antaranga Leela, the internal pastimes. Nanu क्वचित निर्विशेषम eva brahma asid iti sruyate. Now somebody says that sometimes we hear that there is a nirvishesh Brahman, impersonal Brahman which exists before the creation, because there are also statements in the scriptures like this. And you are all the time saying he is and Lord and devotee and all this. What about that? So he says, wait, listen. Sat karyam asat karanam tabhyam param yad brahma tanna matto anyat क्वचित अधिकारिणी शास्त्रे वा स्वरूप भूत नाना विशेष व्युत्पत्ति असमर्थे सोयम अहमेव निर्विशेष ब्रह्मतया प्रतिभान्यते. He says, na, the next part of the verse is ahameva asameva agre nanyat. This is explained. He says yat sad asat param. So sat means the effect, the manifested objects. Asat means the cause, and param means beyond. So he says that which is beyond this cause and effect, material creation, the Brahman, that is also me. It's not different from me, not new. It's not something new. Brahmano hi pratistaham amritasya vyasya. Krishna says that Brahman is also in me. I am the pratishtha. I am the shelter of Brahman. So Brahman is not an independent object. So then why Shastra is saying that Brahman is there? They should always say that Krishna is there or Narayana is there. So it says there are certain people, they cannot understand the transcendental form of the Lord. They don't have the qualification, as we were talking, to understand the Lord and His form and pastimes. Some qualification is needed, some eligibility is required. If one does not have it, then what is to be done? So they can only understand Brahman. So it says then Shastra talks like that for those people who do not have this qualification. Swarup bhut nana vishesh vyutpatti asamartha. Asamartha means not eligible, not capable of understanding the various types of forms and qualities of the Lord. So I am ahameva nirvishesh brahmataya. So he says that I myself, I am depicted as nirvishesh Brahman to them. I appear to them as nirvishesh Brahman. Tvam tu purva shlokokta madasis ashirvad anugrahabhyam rupa gunadi visishtameva mam janhiti. So the meaning is, I have already blessed you, and by my blessing, you please understand. We have no problem in understanding this. This is the meaning. Nanu srishtair anantram jagadeva netu tvam uplabhyase tatraha paschat. It says, but after the creation, only the material world is seen, and you are not to be seen. So he says, paschat srishtair anantaram api ahameva asam eve iti vaikunthe bhagavadadi akarane prapanchesu antaryami rupena yatha samayam matsyadi avatar rupena. He says after the creation is done, then also I am existing. It's not that I stop existing. Then I exist in Vaikuntha, although I am not seen here. I exist as the super soul of everybody, and sometimes I also manifest myself in the material world as Varaha, Purna, Matsya, Ram, and so on. So I am there. ननु तर्हि पृथिव्यादिकं देवतर्यगादिकं च त्वं न भवसि इति तव अपूर्णत्व प्रसक्तिस्तत्राह यदेतच्च व्यष्टि समष्टि विराणमयं विश्वं तदपि हमेव मत्शक्ति जन्यत्वान् ममेव प्राकृतं रूपम्. So if someone says that what about this earth and the planets and the demigods and the animals, this is not you, then you are incomplete. That means there is something which you are not. Something is different from you. So he says no. He says all this aggregate creation or the individual beings here, this is all me. This is my universal form because it is all manifest from my energy, and my energy is not different from me. Therefore this is my material form. not something different. Paravare yatha rupe janiyam iti tvaya yad avaram rupam prashtam tadeva idam tvam janiyam. You have asked me this question that please explain to me your transcendental form and your material form. So transcendental form you are seeing in front of you, and material form is this creation. Know these two as my two forms. तथा यो अवशिष्येत भवान एक शिष्यते शेष संगे इत्यादित्य परमेश्वर सोहमस्मि. And then after the creation is destroyed, then what who remains, that is also me, who is called by the name Shesha, which means the remainder. Tatra aham iti yasya triravritya nirdharanasya suchitva. So 3 times the Lord has used the word I in this verse. Ahameva asameva agram paschad aham yad etaccha yovshishyeta soasmi aham. So 3 times means to make it sure that you don't confuse him with Brahman. What more can he do? He is saying 3 times, I was there, I am there, I will be there, I am always there. And still you think that I means Brahman, and that is your bad luck. What can he do? So therefore he says that he is making it sure, nirdharan, suchitatvat. Etad rup gunadi visishtasya mama traikalik कालिक नित्य स्थित्या पर रूपत्वम सृष्टि संहारोर मध्ये एव दृश्यमिदं मायिकं प्रपंच जातम अवरम रूपम इति परावरियोर रूपयोर ज्ञानवत्तम. He says that this shows that Lord's form, His qualities, His activities, they are existing eternally in past, present and future, and only during the creation and annihilation period we have this visible world which is manifestation of His energy, and this is also His universal form, and these are 2 of His forms, and this is the knowledge which He is giving him, as He has said. Vijnanam tu parrupasya prathamasya eva taccha tadeva syat yada shravan kirtanadi janya prem bhaktya tadarupa gunadi madhuriyam aswadyamanam syadati chartha sloke bhakti bhavam. And how to get the realization of this? He says the realization of the transcendental form of the Lord, it is possible only when one attains prema bhakti by the process of hearing and doing kirtan, etc. Then the Lord's sweetness, His form, qualities, they become manifest. This will be explained in the 4th verse. So this is the meaning of this particular verse.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is all and is forever.
Yes.
And it is only by the grace and mercy of the Lord that we can get, that the Jiva souls can receive bhakti. He gives bhakti.
Yes.
So, since He gives bhakti and He is all, the Jiva, in order for them to, since He gives it, we can't have it. We won't have it because we're not independent of Him. You know, we have our own little egos and defects and what have you. So He has to feel the mercy He has to give us the mercy in order for us to know Him, love Him, serve Him, to surrender. Now, am I on track so far? And unless that happens, nothing happens.
The only thing is you are going many times on the same track.
Okay, so so nothing happens. So it's not that somebody can say, well, I'm going to chant more rounds or do whatever. You can't do anything independently. If He wants to give it to His bhakti to a mouse, if that's what He wants to do, then that's what will happen. So we really can't do anything without His grace. And anything else is just, it's an illusion. Because we're not omniscient, we're not independent, we're not all-powerful. And we just have to be totally in Krishna consciousness all the time. And I guess wanting that mercy and trying to serve with love, that we can then get to that place, only if He wants to give it to us.
Yeah, there is only one thing.
What's the one thing?
One thing is that you get only by His grace, but He has also given a procedure how to get His grace. And the procedure is sadhana bhakti. So He says that you perform sadhana bhakti and then you get prema bhakti. So of course that sadhana bhakti is also bhakti, and it is only through bhakti that one gets bhakti. So He has not made it something like keeping 100% control in His hand and not giving you any role to play. So this is the interesting thing, that He has also given you a role to play, so that you don't just feel that, well, I'm completely despondent, there's nothing I can do, and if it is going to happen, it is going to happen. It is not going to happen, it's not going to happen, so let me just eat, drink and be merry.
That's kind of like a fatalistic type of...
So it is not. So He won't let you rest in peace, but make you work. And that's what He means.
There is really no resting in peace without...
I mean, not performing sadhana bhakti, that's what I mean by resting in peace. Nahi kasyat shanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrit. Nobody can remain without doing anything. But when I say not doing anything, means not doing devotional activity. So He wants that you perform devotional activities. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. Therefore at all times remember me and fight. He never said, remember me, take rest. Or take rest and don't remember me. He didn't say that. All the time. Every time Krishna is repeating this.
That was like a constant thing that He was reminding Arjuna about.
But Arjuna did not want to fight. So of course He said that you will fight later on. Prakriti Tvam Niyokshasi, by being forced by your nature. So there are two ways you can work. One is that you follow your nature, you are completely under the control of your nature, and then you have to work like animals. They are also doing something all the time. So all these flies, mosquitoes, lizards, they are working. And another is that you have your nature under your control and then work for Krishna. So the difference is this much only. In both cases you are working, but in one case you are simply under the control of your nature and you are like a piece of straw in the ocean, floating here, there, up, down, this way, that way, wherever the waves take you. And another is that you take control and you use your nature in the service.
So with sadhana bhakti, then you can attain prema bhakti, and when you attain that, the Lord you will have realizations, spiritual realizations.
Because the realization comes by bhakti. That's what he ended. His last line he said was that by sadhana bhakti you will have realization of this. So that I will explain in the 4th verse.
Something about the qualification. So the qualification are inherent to the soul means the soul has the qualification because it's always like this, never has changed, and is beginningless and all this type of qualities. So means also the qualification are inherent in the soul. The qualification to get the bhakti. It's not they are coming out from outside.
He gave him the qualification.
Yeah, is
It
this.
means he came from outside.
So they are
Not
coming
there.
from outside then.
That's
Okay.
what he said, that by his saying Madanugrahat, by my grace.
Yeah.
So he comments that he gave him the yogyata, the qualification to understand it. So that means it came from outside.
Because there is always this idea that the soul is, the jiva is something like complete in itself, it doesn't need anything from outside. And
You
something.
tried. So you're complete, why you feel incomplete?
Yeah.
So when the jiva souls of living entities are suffering like anything, and are not having any devotional practice, they're really bringing that on themselves. They're making a choice in some respects, right? Like because of their egos, because of their
Really speaking, they're
samskaras,
not making any choice.
they're not making any choice.
What is their choice? Their choice is from one misery to another misery.
But
They
the
don't
desire
have-
to enjoy, let's say,
Yeah, so that is misery. ये ही संस्पर्श जब होगा दुख योने एवते आद्यंतवंत कौनते नतेषु रमते गुणे. That all these enjoyments which come from the contact of the senses are the source of misery. They have a beginning and an end, and intelligent people do not take stock in them. That's what Krishna says. And this is also our experience, that you try to enjoy, and what is the end result? Misery. Always, without any exception. Till today in the history, there is not one exception that somebody tried to enjoy the material senses and did not fall into misery. No exception. Usually rules have some exceptions. This does not have an exception. So where is the choice? Choice is only when one has knowledge. Choice means you choose between A and B. That whether I take this road or I take this road. Whether I take the highway or I take the side road. But if you don't know highway and you only know side road, so where is the choice? You take the side road. And there may be many side roads which are not going there anyway, but they look like it. So when you don't have knowledge about the highway, then there is no choice.
have to have knowledge,
So without knowledge, there is no choice.
absolute knowledge,
Shastric knowledge.
shastra.
When you have shastric knowledge, then you can choose whether I want to follow it or I still want to take these small roads, because they are easy, less risk. Go on highway, maybe accident. Cannot get out quickly anywhere you want to get out. You exit only wherever the exit is. So choice is only when you have shastric knowledge, otherwise there is no choice. Nobody has choice in the material world.
Coming back to this patra that you say, that the spot to hold the iron milk. So everybody is different, and what makes this, what gives this ability to hold it or not hold it,
Faith, Shraddha,
is the faith.
that is the only thing which makes the difference.
A question about so Brahma, he got all the realization, he was blessed by Krishna and got prema and all this. So then later on there's the Brahma Vimohana Leela. He could not understand Krishna at
That
all.
is Leela, that's why it is called Leela.
So he had to have this qualification to be qualified for that Leela.
Why he did not put somebody else in the Leela? Yes, Brahma is a devotee. Leela means play. So when you make a play, you have your own people participating. pick up from the crowd. Can you come? So Brahma is a trusted friend. All this and that may shook hands. So he did.
So it is that incident that qualified him for the Leela being bewildered by Krishna.
Yeah. Also I said that in future he will realize this.
Is faith coming by choice or by special mercy?
That comes by the mercy of a devotee.
Meaning guru, teacher,
Could be devotee, not necessarily devotee. Vaishnava.
Vaishnava. What do you say about people who may know scriptures and they have some little sadhana going on, I mean that they do, but they still want to exercise their option to choose to do what pleases them? You know, it's
Yeah,
like
so
trying to
that
have
depends-
both.
That depends how much faith one has. Because faith is one word, but it is not something like when you get 1 kg of rice. When you say 1 kg of rice, it is only 1 kg of rice. It cannot be half kg or 600 grams. So when you say faith, it does not mean some fixed quantity. So intense faith, weak faith, medium faith, it's like, what do you call it? Not quantifiable. So depending on the faith, and one's intensity is seen. If one has very intense faith in Shastra, then he will be very intense in his spiritual practice. If it is weak, then he may be wavering. So it's a matter of trust, Shraddha.
I have some question. Was Brahma informed about the Leelas of the Lord or not? He was pure devotee, of course, but didn't have the knowledge
Informed?
about the Leelas.
Yeah, he has.
But he didn't get.
No, he got. He has knowledge. He's saying he has the knowledge.
Now there's so many opinions about sadhana. What sadhana is and how it is to be performed, and
So that has to be taken from the Guru. That's why you have Guru.
and there are so many gurus who have different opinions about sadhana. And all this.
Yeah, but you have to take it from your Guru. Not Guru does not mean that's Guru just stamp and then you go on taking from this Guru that. Take sadhana from your Guru.
So it cannot be just taken from the scripture
Yeah.
like that. It has to come through Guru.
Yes. That's why Ado Shraddha, Tat Sadhu Sangha, Atha Bhajan Kriya. So third is Bhajan Kriya. First you get Shraddha, then you have Sadhu Sangha, which means Guru Sangha. And then you start your Bhajan Kriya, spiritual practice or service. So basically Bhajan means seva.
So Diksha is important.
Yeah. Guru Padashraya Tasmat Krishna Diksha Dishikshana. That is the foundation. Taking shelter of Guru, then Diksha and Shiksha.
Seva can have different forms also.
Yeah, seva of course.
For example, if somebody gives donation, it's also seva.
So there is no limit of seva, there is no fixed types. Eating prasad is also seva. Anukulyana Krishna Anusilnam. Anusilnam means it could be anything. It should be Anukulya and it should be related with Krishna, 2 things.
So the Guru has to smile.
Yes.
Změní status.